Hey everybody, this is your host, Rob Kiyosaki with 𝘲𝘀𝘾𝙊𝙈𝙀𝙀 and the YouTube channel. I'm going to bring you a very special guest today. It is Steffi, who owns Cassiopeia, which is a fintech and finance firm involved in blockchain, DeFi, and a lot of different projects. She also is the host of Financial Fox TV on YouTube, and I was fortunate enough to join her channel a few months ago. Thought I would return the favor and bring her onto our channel. We're talking about everything related to cryptocurrencies, the crypto space, blockchain, decentralized finance, and everything in the digital medium. And the reason we're doing that is because that's the world we now live in. We are in that space where governments are using this technology to develop new applications, but the private sector as well is doing tremendous advancement. There are a lot of positive things to come out of this, such as democratization of finance, access to banking, and things like that. Certainly, privacy is a concern with the blockchain, but there are many, many other uses for it. And the world is moving this direction. So we had a great conversation with Steffi about where we're moving and what she sees. She's really at the forefront of this. And I think this is going to be a fantastic interview for you guys to get caught up in this space and what's going on in the world of blockchain and digital finance. Stay tuned for a very, very special interview.
Welcome to Gold Silver Pros.
Hey everybody, this is Rob Kiyosaki from 𝘲𝘀𝘾𝙊𝙈𝙀, and I was a guest on this lady's program some time back, and now I'm inviting her to our channel to educate you on everything having to do with the cryptocurrency and blockchain space. It is Steffi who runs Cassiopeia, her company, as well as Financial Fox TV. Steffi, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much, Robert, for having me on your show.
Absolutely happy to do it, and I know it's late there, so we won't keep you long, and we appreciate you coming on late. But I wanted to have you on because I think from the perspective of my crowd and my followers, they're following all these developments inside the currency space, and they're starting to get interested in alternatives. Of course, we talk about gold, silver all the time, but we'll also talk about a little bit about the cryptos and also blockchain and just general news in that space. And I thought I would have you on because I know that your company is involved in that. Could you just give us a real quick intro as to what you do with your company?
Yeah, sure. So I started Cassiopeia. We were actually dealing in a traditional market, so equity. So lots of like gold company, right? Natural resources, some tech as well, but was mainly like doing IPOs and secondary placing, assisting with the PR and marketing. And then in 2017, I started to get down to the rabbit hole with the Bitcoin, Ethereum, and it was an interesting time with all the ICOs. So I'm, up and down roller coaster, but it helped me to understand a lot, and my team as well, to try to see how the ecosystem has been evolving over the last few years, especially 2021 and 2022. They were fantastic year, and why we come to the point, why alternatives, right? And that's the point. I mean, over the last couple of years, we have seen that we need to look for alternatives because the current market has been exhausted, right? Too much money, and in the system, and then what people do, you overhype the stock market, which still is run in a kind of old-fashioned manner, right? It doesn't run 24 hours. It doesn't run 7 days a week. And the new generation is looking for alternative assets, digital assets. That's why cryptocurrency has become so popular. And I think the tipping point was really when you see large institutions getting into the space, because then when you see the assets has been recognized. So with the Cassiopeia since 2017, we have been working with a public listed company that were doing blockchain project, and also with some private company on the point of marketing, PR, fundraising. And the Financial Fox is a YouTube channel where I try to interview the most interesting founder and leaders in the space. And then last year, I also started the Crypto Circle, which is a gathering, is an invitation-only gathering for crypto leaders, politicians, and investors in the UK. And we are doing some interesting stuff, some really cool conversation that we are having with policymaker in the UK. Today I record an interview with basically the top MP that is chair of the all-party parliamentary group in the UK. And, there is a lot of work that has been doing here from, a UK perspective to try to foster innovation and establish a dialogue with the industry. Because, you are talking about your audience that want to understand, but the government, needs lots of education, the FCA as well. So, everybody is learning these kind of new things that is actually gathering more and more attention and becoming mainstream.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. So you mentioned that you came from the equity space and you kind of got into the crypto space, seeing the ICOs and from that side of it, now that you're into it and also assisting people with projects, educating the government and so on and so forth. Since 2017, when you started to get into that, what do you think are some of the biggest developments in that space that people may not be aware of?
Right. I give you an example. So I was involved in a company, they pay me tokens, and that was in 2018. You couldn't sell those tokens, you couldn't do anything because, there wasn't the infrastructure there. If you, for instance, and then obviously, it depends if this company is gonna be successful or maybe not. So they do an ICO and then, they don't go anywhere, they go bust and you lose everything, right? That's the main worries also for investors. So nowadays, right, if you buy some token or you are gonna get take part in airdrop or whatever, those tokens, they might have liquidity pools on decentralized exchanges like Uniswap or SushiSwap or whatever, and actually you are able to trade them. So I think lots of development has been happening, especially on the Ethereum network, on the EVM chain network, let's call it like that, not just Ethereum, but we have seen a project like Polygon that was born to scale Ethereum. Then we are seeing other solutions like Arbitrum, like Avalanche, like Phantom. They have been also creating some really good community, interesting dApps for different kind of use cases. So I think, the ecosystem has become more mature, and some of the main blockchain like Ethereum, like Cardano, like Algorand, and obviously Bitcoin has gone through these crypto markets and they strengthen themselves as well. So, I think when you are new to this space, you don't want to adventure in some kind of like meme coin, like Pepe of the situation or something that is very high risk. You want to actually go somewhere that is safer, right? So to the most established project that, they have less chance to go bust, because now it's tough times, it's really tough right now. And there aren't, many money around, especially, in crypto. I think it's been a tough crypto winter.
It really has. Last year they sold off, and I'm a Bitcoin miner. I have a few machines in a pool with some friends, and the mining's been interesting because while Bitcoin sold off last year, the currency that we created was still profitable. And it was barely in the double digits, but we did make money on it. And I think mining is a different sort of space that you can get into, that even in a declining price environment, you can see some value there. So have you been involved in any of the mining projects, or are you more involved on the solution side where people are using blockchain for various solutions?
Right. I have to tell you, I've been more involved on the NFT, metaverse, DeFi space. However, I'm having some really interesting conversation how to use actually Bitcoin mining to rebalance the energy produced by renewable energy traditional, companies. So I think this is kind of like one of the frontier of Bitcoin mining, not just being criticized for, the high and intensive energy requirement, but also to actually have a role in this energy transition and actually help to rebalance the energy input from renewable energy that, as you know, is very fragmented. It's not continuous, right? So Bitcoin mining could be quite interesting, especially if it's done in places where there is waste of gas, for example. You could use, instead of burn this gas, you could actually repurpose that for Bitcoin mining and rebring energy in the grid when it's needed. So I think, yes, I'm at the moment, I'm kind of involved in those kind of conversation, and I see a lot of demand coming also from, you know, oil and gas company. They are saying, okay, how can we basically add something to the space using some of the gas that we are burning anyway? So you see, this is interesting conversation that are actually happening right now.
Yes, a lot of natural gas plants and processing facilities have to flare off a certain amount of gas depending on what they're carrying, how clean it is, that kind of stuff. And I have one over by where I live, and it's going 24/7, and it's just giant. It's like a giant pilot light, but it's the size of a building, and they're wasting all that gas. And so what we decided to do is say, if you're going to flare it, because there are reasons why you have to, let's see if we can utilize that. And so now you're seeing developments like flare gas and other excess forms of energy that sometimes can get wasted. One of the things that we looked at also was hydroelectric power and using more natural energy to produce it. But I get the criticism of Bitcoin being a power hog, because at the end of the day, even if we're using renewable sources, we're still drawing from the overall, you know, power that we have available. And so there is that replacement argument or opportunity cost argument of how much should we put into mining. And one of the things I think that happened in the space, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Ethereum went to more of like a proof of stake. So now you're seeing more of the blockchains go to proof of stake. Do you think that there are advantages of proof of stake over the proof of work systems and the energy requirements? Or do you think that we're still going to stick with those proof of work type systems like traditional Bitcoin, and the industry still going to continue to work on the energy side of the argument?
Well, I think all this issue about high energy consumption for proof of work, I think is just, I don't know how to say, it doesn't really make sense, right? Because if you think about artificial intelligence, how much energy that is actually using, I mean, nobody talks about, right? Talk about Bitcoin because it's money, right? Money is bad, money, you know, then okay, then we need to bring up, you know, the bad points. So I think the proof of work has got the positive aspect. And, you know, it's obviously good to go more green. So yeah, having Ethereum going proof of stake, most of the other chains are also proof of stake. That's always a good thing, right? But I think, you know, when somebody wanna you know, point the finger and say, right, Bitcoin is bad because it consumes so much energy, right? Are we talking about all the banking system in the world, how much energy is using? We are not. And, you know, I think, you know, you have to kind of like take all these statement, you know, carefully, because I don't think the problem is really the energy, but in any case, it's always good to go greener. And I think that's where we are heading to, because most, you know, even Ethereum, it was a massive upgrade they have done. I thought it was going to be more challenging. And I had a few concerns on how they could actually move all this liquidity from one chain to the other chain, but actually happen in a very smooth way. So they did, I think there was an amazing work that has been done by the Ethereum community to support this move from proof of work, proof of stake. And yeah, that's it was quite impressive.
Yeah, I want to turn a little bit more to, I guess, the financing side and that side of it, and decentralized finance, because what goes along with the blockchain is sort of a sister concept of decentralizing finance, because you're democratizing access to money in the market, much like Bitcoin or Ethereum would be democratizing access to a currency. So those topics kind of go hand in hand. Are there certain projects that you're working on in decentralized finance that you can talk about that you think are interesting, you know, the last few years and developments that we've had in that space?
Yeah, definitely. There is one project that I've been involved. I was actually one of the founding team member and an investor. It's called Umbria Network. And I think that's is a cross-chain bridge, right? That basically allow people to move assets from one to Ethereum to other EVM chain in a very convenient way, so faster and cheaper than other bridges out there. I mean, saying that, the bridge has been doing very well, lots of transaction, and also, you know, it's still, even though the gas fee are quite lower now compared to last year, I think it's still the fastest and cheaper in the space. But now, take that as an example, right, to say how important is now infrastructure. So when you are talking about DeFi, decentralized finance, that's a great concept, great idea, you know, access to different kind of product. You think even getting loans, right? If you are, you know, see, in the crypto space, there are places like Aave where you can have flash loans. And that is like a complete new concept of in finance that doesn't exist, because usually you get a loan if you put a security, or, you know, what they've done in the crypto space before that was you need to over collateralize, right? You need to put some collateral that maybe is quite high, right? But with fresh loan, anybody can take a loan, and that's, you know, that's amazing. So I think there are opportunities that DeFi has been bringing to democratize access, but the real focus right now, especially from a building perspective, development, but also from an investment perspective, is building the infrastructure, right? The rails that actually make this decentralized finance to flourish. And bridges has been a big part of it. Now, another aspect is layer 2. So building chains, they are actually for instance, they are actually helping 𝘎𝘀 to communicate. So the other day I had an interview with the founder of an EVM layer 2 on Cardano. Cardano has been, you know, is a big ecosystem. They are, you know, one of the top coin by market cap. They have got a strong community, but quite isolated. You know, you see, they don't interact so much like the Ethereum community, the Ethereum, you know, network. And now they are looking at ways to become EVM compatible, you know, and I think those kind of like layer 2 that allows interoperability, they are also very, very important right now. So if you are in DeFi or you are interested in DeFi, I think looking at infrastructure project, I think that's probably what is going to be striving in the next bull market.
Yeah, and I'm glad you talked about that, and I'm going to do a real quick transition here into a topic. Before I do that, I wanted to kind of interject and explain for viewers of our channel why we're doing this and why I'm covering blockchain and crypto a lot more. You know, everybody knows I have a computer science background. I did tech and cybersecurity for 25 years. So I have an interest in this. I also have an interest from a sound money perspective into alternatives from the fiat currencies. But I also, probably my greatest interest in this space really has to do with decentralized finance and things like that. And I know that regardless of what everybody thinks about the cryptocurrencies, we're moving into an era in which smart contracts and that type of thing is here to stay. It's not going away. The world's going. So I encourage people to watch the video and understand these things, because this is going to be our reality in our environment, and to understand them and maybe how they can even help us in business and our own pursuits. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what do you think the potential impact could be for something like decentralized finance and crypto, blockchain type projects, not only the monetary side, but also other aspects of it for a continent like Africa? Because what I see in Africa is I see tremendous underdevelopment. And I have a friend who used to be the lead person at IBM for digital literacy, and she spent a lot of time in Africa building you know, access to the internet and building computer skills and things. Do you think that decentralized finance could be, in some ways, help access funds and opportunities for a continent like Africa, which has been so disadvantaged for so long? Could this be like a way to open a door for them, perhaps, to kind of leapfrog, you know, past where we've all been, maybe into the modern world, and kind of help out some of those nations, not only with maybe their monetary systems, but more with their financial infrastructure, their digital infrastructure, and things like that?
I think in principle, yes. I think blockchain is really a leapfrogging technology for and for developing countries. However, if you have to make that happen, there are barriers like, you know, identity, right? That's
Mhm.
something that, you still need to be identified. There is regulation that require identification. There is access. So I think the great things about Africa is that everybody hopefully has got a mobile phone, right? So
Mhm.
can you use a mobile phone to allow people to have access to finance, right? That's probably the way to go. And one very interesting project I suggest to have a look is called EMG, and is part of the 𝘾𝘃𝘼𝙗 group. And what they are building is, they actually have built, is a super app, right? Una super app that basically allow you to do different kind of interaction just using one simple app on your phone. So 𝘾𝘃𝘼𝙗 group partner with different kind of telecommunication company. So using the app, you can actually do video calls, you can actually send money, you have got access to an NFT marketplace, you can actually pay your bills. So you see this kind of like concept of using a super app that has got crypto in it, right? And just make cryptocurrency as part of those kind of transaction. It could be quite an interesting view to the next level of e-commerce, the access to finance, and actually giving people that are unbanked the opportunity to be banked. And yeah, so coming back to what you said, yeah, in principle, yes, but we have got, I think it depends on the solution, and also it depends on regulation as well, because, regulation has been basically the big part of this crypto winter. And, is now, I think today there was a news about Estonia, that lots of company that's been incorporated there, they got their license or they got stopped because, regulation is becoming more tightened. So, but, it is a good thing. And, at the end of the day, mainstream adoption is not going to happen if there isn't regulation. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was an auditor for 12 years, and regulation is huge. Regulation can be good or bad. It can cause additional costs, but you do need some regulation and policy framework for something like this to work in it. And if I heard you correctly, what you're saying is, yes, these concepts and technology can help, but you still need your basic infrastructure. You need your basic financial infrastructure. You need your basic political and cultural infrastructure. And then decentralized finance may just be a more efficient, better, more capable way of doing some things that we're already doing. So it may bring some disadvantaged nations into the forefront, but they still need to develop that underlying, so the projects that we have going over there, helping them build out their infrastructure, are still going to be important, I think.
Exactly. And I think the point about digital identity is also big things, right? Because you need to identify all these people, how you're going to identify them. So you need a solution for the digital identity that I think is also going to be a big part of what is happening in the blockchain space, is actually concept of SSI, self-sovereign identity, the ability for you to own your data. I don't have to log into Google and give Google your data, but actually you can share data by yourself that you want and also get paid for it. Or you don't have to share any data. By using zero knowledge proof, you can just say yes or no, depending on what kind of information is required. If you have to show your passport, are you 18, over 18? Yes, no, but you don't have to show your date of birth.
Yeah. One of the concerns people have, especially my audience, a lot of them tend to be a little bit older school in their thinking, which I'm okay with. I tend to be old school with certain things as well. But a lot of the concern, not only my audience, but I think in general, I would even say some of the concern with governments, because governments, especially the US, is pushing back on this space. They're trying to fit it under existing SEC and CFTC regulation, looking at the coins as a commodity and the rest of it as some sort of financialized product. And they're trying to wrap, and I think they're going to fail, but they're trying to wrap existing regulation against a new product, and they're going to have to make new regulation. And I see that coming. I see a wave of new regulation coming, and I see eventually the nation state sort of cautiously adopting a lot of this technology. After all, they're putting a lot of it in their CBDCs. But do Going beyond that, one possible application, something I talked to Kurt about maybe a year ago in our program from CoinGeek, and unfortunately, he's going to join us in a different, I got the times wrong, we were going to do a roundtable. He'll join us later. But he was talking about the blockchain potentially serving as a communication protocol. I didn't know if you're like TCP/IP. In other words, it could improve the internet itself. We know that TCP/IP is an old infrastructure. You know, being a cybersecurity guy, I can tell you it's not cybersecurity capable out of the box. You got to bolt stuff on. It's tremendous. TCP/IP is great. It's how we're talking to each other, but it's tremendously outdated for what we need. And the world needs a new internet protocol. Could blockchain be that? You know, when I look at it from as a telecom experienced person, I'm like, I don't think it can, but I'd never, you know, I've learned never to doubt the power of technology. So do you think, are there projects going on where blockchain actually could be its own communication protocol? Or do you think mostly the benefits are going to be as a ledger system in terms of accountability, immutability, and that type of thing?
Well, I think what you were describing before, it looks to me that could be the metaverse, to be honest. The
Right,
metaverse,
that's where I was going, yeah.
yeah, is becoming the, you know, a communication space. It's becoming the space of new experience where, you know, you can be anywhere with people from all over the world, and you can have different kind of experience, different kind of, you know, it could be communication, it could be entertainment, you know, many things. And I think that's kind of like what blockchain has enabled a new way to kind of communicate, and you know, in a way that is also safer as well. I mean, more secure, let's say, than safer. We have to see, because the metaverse, there is a lot of conversation about how we can make the metaverse more secure, so there is no harassment and stuff like that. So then you see all the projects around DAOs as well. They are trying to kind of like look into that governance aspect. But yes, I think the metaverse has been a very interesting, has been developing in a very interesting way. And that's not the the metaverse from Meta, but it's more about the different metaverses that has been created, and they are experimenting, and they are bringing more and more community to the space. I mean, the other day I joined a Cardano event in London, and I met with friends of mine from Pavia. And Pavia is the metaverse. It's basically Discord in the metaverse. So it's a way for community to get there and chat, right? So you see, Discord is probably not built on the blockchain, but you know, when you can actually bring a virtual world as well in the chatting, right? Then it becomes a different experience that is most fulfilling. It's not just talking to somebody over the phone or via Zoom or, you know, in a chat, but it's also actually being there with that person, and maybe, you know, feel something more than just hearing, you know, just hear something. So I do think the metaverse has got lots of interesting things to bring to us, very early times. Yeah, I'm very excited about the potential of those technology. I think the real struggle here is to see the solid project. They are actually going to be here in 2 or 3 years, right? Many projects, they raised a lot of money over the last couple of years, and they haven't been able to deliver on the promise of what they raised the money for. And lots of projects are going to go bust. So you have to look at the project with a solid team behind, and actually people, they you know, they deliver on the projects, or they are delivering, because you know, that's the same as the dot-com boom. So many companies, so many great ideas, and sometimes you can have a great idea, but you're still going to go bust. You know, it's about resilience, it's about discipline, it's about don't get all hyped up because you raise 100 million, because 100 million go quite fast.
Yeah, it will. Man, it takes so much to develop projects. Last question for you. What do you think are exciting things coming down the pike that you were involved in, maybe we haven't talked about, that kind of illustrate the power of the space?
Yeah, so I'm very interested in what is happening on the Bitcoin, in the Bitcoin space. So I'm going to go to Miami next week. Maybe we can chat afterwards about what's happening with, the Lightning Network, with ordinals as well, new NFT on Bitcoin. But I think Bitcoin has been quite steady and has been quite boring for a long time because it's like digital gold, but there is some interesting experimentation happening right there. So I'm curious and I'm very excited about what is being built on Bitcoin and is being building as well. I'm working on a cool project called 𝘎𝑗𝑗. You probably know the 𝘎𝑗𝑗, and it's coming to Web3. So kind of like building utility around NFT and see how you can actually bring a big brand like 𝘎𝑗𝑗 to Web3, right? So that's very interesting from my side. I'm also interested about regulation. Through the crypto circle, we are getting lots of policymakers together as well as MP to discuss how we can build a productive dialogue to foster innovation and support the crypto industry, which the main point is really, I mean, we talk about the US, it probably is not taken in the right way. The EU is making some amazing step forward, and the UK is trying to do that as well. And why you have to do it is because if you don't do it, you are going to lose not just revenue. It's not just about losing money now. It's about losing talent, right? So if the US is not going to get that right, lots of companies are going to leave. Like what's happening to Coinbase is coming to the UK. Lots of projects are going to Europe, right? And when you are bringing innovation in another country, you are bringing the talent is going to go there. The next generation is going to go there, and you're going to lose much more than money. You're going to lose people. And that's what I'm really concerned about. So I think it's all exciting. Yeah, maybe I can tell you more when I come back from Miami.
Oh, that'll be a lot of fun. I was there, gosh, last year, I think. Didn't actually go to the event. I just went to the after parties and networked a little bit. But
okay.
Yeah, it was quite fun. So enjoy your time in Miami. I know you were you in New York recently as well for a couple of days?
Yeah, for the NFT NYC. That was actually quite cool. And yeah, I have to say New York is the place for NFT and art. They have got a massive, community of artists, and, all the galleries are there, all the auction houses. So, anybody interested in NFT and art, I think New York is the place to be.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Steffi. She runs 𝘎𝑗𝑗 and Financial Fox TV there on YouTube. You can find her. Appreciate you joining the channel and would be happy to have you back on in the future.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. We selected these videos just for you. Check them out. And remember, $4.99 a month keeps the lights on and the channel going. So join our Gold Silver Pro supporter membership. We appreciate your support. Keep stacking.